Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to get situated here and hopefully you can see me. Hey, Heidi, thanks for joining me. Green Stalkers here. Hey, Hoglegs, thanks for joining me. Local here. So, hey, everybody. My name is Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And yes, there really is a Mary. I try to go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time. I almost didn't make it on time today. I was having a chat with my sister. It's always nice to talk to my sisters. And so tonight is kind of a simple topic, but also a broad topic. So the basics are February seed Q&A, but also I'm going to add a lot more to that. So, hey, Kathleen. Hey, Krista. Thanks for joining me. So before I get started with what I call the meat and potatoes of my video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you get a chance. I always appreciate it. If I don't get a chance to answer your question during my live chat, you can always send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com and I will answer as quickly as possible. So I always like to share the basics. In the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide, a couple of things that we're going to discuss tonight, the email sign up link. So if you want to get my newsletter, I've got weekly information that I send out that's really, really helpful. I don't sell your information. I don't spam you with like random stuff. It's just specifically about Mary's Heirloom Seeds. So tonight I am going to answer an email that I received, and while I'm chatting and whatnot, you can always ask your questions as well, and I'll try to answer them as well. But this one is super. Hey Jenny, thanks for joining me. This one is important because a lot of us are looking for a place to start, and it really doesn't matter if, hey Alicia, it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned gardener or you are a brand new gardener. Krista says, is that a new Mary's V-neck shirt? So this is a shirt that I had made up for myself a long time ago. I have a huge selection of Mary's Heirloom Seed shirts that I had never sold. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am going to be doing another run of shirts. So let me pull it up for you. It says Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and it's a really thin, nice V-neck shirt. The problem I had with it was it doesn't pop. But if you like it, let me know, because I have had some requests for t-shirts lately, and I will do another run. I like the V-necks because I'm not a big like shirt up to your throat person. Okay, enough about all that. Okay, everybody wants a shirt. Okay, so I'm working on shirts. I already had a meeting with the lady that does my shirts, and she's awesome. So I've already discussed some shirts. Anyway, let's get on to the meat and potatoes. If you're interested in a shirt, send me an email. It's mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. So here is an email I received today. I always like to share new questions and things like that, but this one is relevant to literally every one of us. Hey Cindy, hey Leah, thank you very much. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned gardener or if you're a brand new gardener. Every year we start over, and sometimes it's just simply you're gardening, you're replanting. Now obviously I'm not talking about perennials because I got some perennials even behind me here. I'm talking about your general garden. And now here's the email I got. I get overwhelmed and don't know where to start, what to plant, what to fertilize with, what to use for pests and disease. All right, so I'm going to answer that question, all of that question tonight during this live chat. And again, if you've got relevant questions to ask, please ask them. Serena, I understand that you are hard of hearing, so I would prefer that you send me an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. That way I can answer your questions personally after the video. So please save your questions and send me an email since you have difficulty hearing my answers. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the answer to all of that email. It's a good one. It's not an easy answer, but it is one that I have answered so often. First of all, don't overthink it. it is so easy for us to get into this. I have to plan everything. I have to have this fancy garden, or I have to grow a certain way. Don't overthink it. If you don't plant all the things, it's okay. If you don't plant all the companions, it's okay. I have a live video on my Facebook page. If you're not on Facebook, I will try and post it to another avenue of social media. I don't know if I even can. Again, if you've got questions, send me an email. Hey, Inga. But the video is a live chat on Facebook, and it was called Analysis Paralysis. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in all of the different ways of gardening and all of the different things that social media or YouTubers or influencers tell us that we have to do, that we forget that this is supposed to be fun. Yes, our gardens feed us, and in some cases, our gardens are the bulk of our nutrients. But it's also important to remember why we do these things. And some people don't necessarily like all of the aspects of the gardening. Christine Povell says, best gardening tip, you do you. That is a good one. So analysis paralysis is one of the things that some people struggle with, and that is one of the things that I wanted to share with you today. Is even I do it. I look at all these different varieties that we have, and it can be overwhelming. I look at all the different beds I have, and what am I going to plant in there, and I've got to make sure everything's perfect. My gardens are never perfect. They are a work in progress. 365, or this year 366 days, because it's a leap year. So you look behind me, and I've got a completely empty bed. This is finally cleared out. I've got some chicken wire behind it and some posts. So this is either going to be peas, or it's going to be a vining squash, or it's going to be a pole bean. So then I can plant all this in. And yeah, sometimes I plant it and sometimes I don't. I also have a YouTube video. This was from April of 2020. And it's called Plant Now and Adapt with What You Have. And that was a really good one that was super helpful, that you don't necessarily have to go out and buy all these fancy things. You can grow with what you have. And the first comment I got, which I was just blown away, he said, my wife and I bought seeds from you. It's our first time. Let me tell you, every single seed became life. Thank you. So that was super important too. You've got good quality seeds, so you know that you're going to get a good garden from that. And I've already said it, I don't know how many times, you don't need a fancy garden. I rarely have a fancy garden, but it's productive, and that's important. The basics are going to be seeds, soil, and nutrients. So that's going to be, as obviously we're not talking about sun. Hey, Grow Big TV, we got Joe or Corky on the other side here. So you've got seeds, Mary's Heirloom Seeds, of course. Of course, I'm going to share with you to buy my seeds, but I grow with my own seeds, and I have a very successful germination rate with our seeds. It's warm, high 70s, I think, today. Really exciting. I'm planting already. It is February 22nd. My estimated first frost date is March 12th, and I already planted. So I'm kind of being a rebel gardener, or what I recently said, Grow Big says seeds, semi-feral gardener. So the semi-feral gardener is a new thing. I just added that as a group for Facebook. So I started planting, and I'm feeling really excited about it. And yes, we may have a frost, but I'm gonna wing it and just hope that we have some mellow weather for the next couple weeks, so that we can still get some good stuff. So seeds, I can definitely help you with seeds, right? Seeds. And a lot of my customers are super excited about those. My comprehensive planting guide is also a great place to start, because it also offers you easy to grow seeds. I actually have one that is easy to grow. And that's in the comprehensive planting guide, which is in the description section of this video. Artichokes need, I'm pretty sure artichokes need cold stratification prior to planting. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that in my guide that's a good one. Rhubarb is going to be the one that needs lots of space. Carrington Hill says, I'm so excited you're here. I've been searching for local seeds for a long time. Yay! And you can learn from our videos. And a lot of what I share is not just local. I'm in East Texas, specifically Ben Wheeler, but I've also grown in Southern California and South Florida. So those are crazy different compared to East Texas, but I've got experience. So if you've got questions, I can always answer those for you, or at least try to. Inga says yours were cold stratified. Like I said, I'm pretty sure artichokes should be cold stratified. All right, so there are newer varieties that we add. These aren't new heirlooms. These are just new to us heirlooms, like the spoon tomato. I'm definitely going to have space in my garden for the spoon tomato this year. I'm actually thinking about putting it out on the front fence because it can just go crazy all over the place, and hopefully that will be really helpful for me. I can feed the wildlife and I can also feed myself, but then at the same time, as those, hey, Garden State so-and-so, as those tiny tomatoes drop, they can self-seed, and then I'll have free food for even longer, as long as I let it go and nourish it there. So soil is the next one. Soil is super important. And if you watch some of my older videos, ones that are not live chats, I have a couple on building healthy soil. If you have a brand new garden, please understand that not every brand new garden is going to be this massively productive garden like you want it to be. It might, but it might not. And if it's not, that's okay, because sometimes we learn as we grow. And I think this is the third year in this garden. Hey, Moon Blaine, thanks for joining us. Every year the garden gets more successful, and every year the soil gets healthier. So I've got 3 videos actually about building healthy soil. One in particular is different ways that you can add organic matter to your garden. And that is included in that is leaf mold and compost. Those are things that you can do on your own property that takes time. So maybe the first year in your garden, your soil isn't as productive as it could be. But as you learn about soil health, you can add worm castings. You can use worm tea, KNC Worm Farm, by the way. We love them. I'm giving you a shout out because I have used their worm tea and their worm castings in my garden, and I have found that it has been very successful. You can actually use that as pest control. So I'm going to talk about that as well, because that was one of the issues in the email. So if you're just joining me, I'm answering an email tonight, and you can ask your questions as well. The email is, I get overwhelmed and I don't know where to start, and what to plant, what to fertilize with, and what to use for pest control. So what to plant and when to plant is going to be in my comprehensive planting guide. Hogleg says KNC is fantastic. I know you've tried their stuff as well. When to plant and what to plant is going to be in my comprehensive planting guide. I know I just said that. I'm repeating myself. Soil health is important. So you can start with regular basic soil. And I will say that there are 2 things in particular that I always use outside of course, the worm tea, and that is going to be Mountain Flower Root Boost and Azomite. And both of those, if you look in the description, you'll find in the soil amendments section at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and we've got a discount code right now. Mountain Flower Root Boost has no synthetic fertilizer elements in it, and it has beneficial microbes in it that will help build life in your soil. You don't want dead soil. You want living organisms in your soil. And the second is the Azomite. That is a micronutrient. Just like our bodies need macronutrients, like the big vitamins, we also need micronutrients, which are your minerals. And so those are both helpful. Hogleg says Root Boost is the bomb. And I don't recommend over fertilizing. I always say less is better. So if you follow me on Facebook, I did post the application rates. You can always send me an email and I can share that specific information. And it's also available on my website. It's literally 1 tablespoon per plant if you're transplanting out in your garden. So those are some great things that you can do. You can also do a soil test, which I have done as well, and I will have answers for you very soon. And so those are the basics. You don't need a 20-20-20. In fact, I don't recommend it because that is going to burn your plants. Things like aged manure, if you have animals on your property, those are fantastic. Bunny poop, absolutely fantastic. Worm poop, again, that's worm castings. That's not going to burn your soil. So that's a really good one. A really, really good one. And then also we're going to talk about the video. I'll share the link at a later time of the leaf mold and then the adding organic matter. I'll share that in the comments after I'm done with my video because I can't share it while I'm live. Thank you very much, moderators, for adding that information for me. I appreciate it. If you have questions that I'm not able to answer during my live chat, you can always send me an email. Okay, what else? I also have some videos about planning, but again, you don't have to plan. I posted in the mostly Feral Gardeners group on Facebook, and I said, do you plan? Do you sketch? Do you semi-plan? Do you just kind of wing it and write it down later? And a lot of people are in the wing it and write it down later category. And sometimes I do that too. I would rather not stress out over something that is as awesome as gardening. I would rather enjoy what I get from it than stress out about it. Obviously, I have seed gardens, okay? So that's different than my food gardens. My seed gardens are more carefully planned out, more carefully spaced out, things like that. But my food garden, right behind me, if you didn't know, I go live in my food garden because I don't get reception anywhere else. So my seed gardens are spread out around the properties so that we can not have cross-pollination with certain crops. And so I don't get connection all the way over there, but I do right here where I'm closest to my connection. So that's why you always see me in this garden and not the other gardens. I prefer to plant and enjoy and not stress over something that should be enjoyable. So that's another reason why I'm kind of more on the just plant it and enjoy it, because gardening for me in a lot of cases is a stress relief. It's awesome. It has the beneficial microbes in the soil they say are antidepressant, and they also just help you feel better. So that's always a plus too. Now, pest control. Alan P says, my walking onions love rabbit poop. Awesome. Very cool. Pest control is the other one. So a couple of options for natural pest control. I don't even use a lot of the organic stuff that's out there on the market. But you can use companion planting. That is one of the easiest. That is my number one first line of defense when it comes to pests. So the last part of the question I had was, what do I do for pest control? In my video last week, I discussed companion planting with basil. And that was probably the easiest one because most people love basil. Some people don't like it, but I love basil, and it was one of the easiest varieties as far as companion planting goes. It's a little warm out here. But there's others like marigolds, nasturtiums, oregano, dill. There are sweet alyssum. You can use trap crops. So there's a lot of different additions to your garden that are considered companions. Krista says, if you don't have rabbits, where can you get rabbit poop? All right, so that's a great question. There are people that raise rabbits, I know for a fact, in East Texas, and some of them are selling feed bags or something. They'll do a 5-gallon bucket or something for $5, $10, $15, maybe more. I don't know any of them personally, but there are a lot of people that will raise rabbits and they sell the poop. So you can always try that. And sometimes they have hay or feed or whatever they have that they feed them or the bedding. So obviously ask your questions. But there you go. Alan says you found it on Marketplace. So that's a great option. If you don't raise your rabbits yourself, ask the questions though. Ask what you feed your rabbits. Ask them if they are giving them any kind of antibiotics or ask the questions. Antibiotics and medications aren't a common thing for rabbits, but that's an option. So Krista says, what if you're not on Facebook? That's a great question. I would say check out Craigslist. Maybe an option. Sunny Splay says, I get rabbit poop from neighbors. Oh, 4-H. Thank you. Perfect idea. I do know people that do 4-H. So you can contact your local 4-H. Contact your local extension office and see if they have a connection with your local 4-H. Because those are kids that are raising animals for show. And they might be able to sell you some of their rabbit poop. And that money might be able to help them go towards their rabbit feed or something like that. So great suggestion on the 4-H. You mentioned that, and I didn't even think about that until you said it. So there's other options for pest control that are in the description section of this video. It's in the comprehensive planting guide, and there's a whole section on pest control at the bottom. Soapy water spray is one option. Cayenne and garlic spray is another option. Neem oil and soapy water is another option. So these are some natural ways. You want to read the instructions, read the recipe. You don't want to just go, oh, Mary said soapy water, so I'm just going to dump some soapy water on it. Read the recipe, because it's a very small amount of liquid dish soap or whatever it is. 4-H, I do not know what the 4-H's stand for, but 4-H is an agricultural group for kids similar to FFA. So I'll find what the 4-H means, and I should remember that because my friend has her kids in 4-H, but I can only remember so much, right? So another one, thank you very much. Christine says worm tea as a foliar spray is not only going to help feed your plants, but it is also great pest control, which is why I mentioned worm tea earlier in my video. So cayenne powder is another one, and that's one that I haven't discussed a lot of. And I had some customers asking specifically about deterring rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks from eating your plants in your garden. And sprinkling cayenne powder or cayenne pepper flakes on the top of your soil can deter some of these pests like rabbits, because it's either too spicy or too stinky and they don't want to come near it. But that also involves companion planting too, as far as the stinky stuff. Thank you, Inga. Head, heart, hands, and health are the 4 H's. I appreciate it. Cinnamon also can work. Cinnamon doesn't deter as much, but it definitely deters ants from your garden. So that's a really good one as well. And I mentioned the garlic spray. That's a really good one too. Didn't know about worm poop for pest control. Awesome. So if you haven't already, check out KNC Worm Farm. It's K as in Kathy, N as in Nancy, C as in Christine, KNC Worm Farm. I love them. They have tons of great information, and they don't pay me to say this. I just love their stuff. Also, while I'm doing shameless promotions here, I've got 2 discount codes I mentioned last week. Spring 24, no spaces, will give you 10% off store-wide at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And Feed Your Plants, no spaces, all caps, will give you 15% off soil amendments right now through the end of the year. I'm sorry, through the end of the month. It's February 2024. So Inga says, is there anything for bigger like pests, like deer? So yes and no. There are specific flower varieties that can deter pests like deer, bigger pests. So I did hear that you could use garlic, but then I saw a friend of mine had his garlic eaten by the deer, and then I had my garlic eaten by the deer, but they didn't actually eat the whole plant. They just ate a little bit of it up. So if you look at marysheirloomseeds.com and you check out the flower section, There is something called a deer-proof mix. And if you look through the varieties of flowers there, you might be able to find something that you want to grow in your area and grow them on the outside. Marigolds, I know off the top of my head, are something that you can use. That is a really easy one because it's stinky. Think about stuff that stinks. But maybe in a good way. So like lavender and marigolds and calendula, things that stink, lacy phacelia, those varieties will be helpful in deterring deer. For this garden I'm standing in particular, I have a fence. It may not be tall enough for deer, but it will keep the hogs out. And if you don't know about Ben Wheeler, Texas, we are the wild hog capital of East Texas, apparently. And so there are big groups of wild hogs that roam through the area, and they will very easily decimate an entire garden. So I put a fence up on the larger part of the garden. So that was, hopefully I can keep them out. I have not had deer, and I have not had wild hogs in this area. So that's always a plus. What else? Did I miss anything? Yeah, Inga says I have tons of marigold seeds. OMG, hogs are way worse. Yeah, so we do have deer, and I haven't had them in my area, but the wild hogs, yes, the wild hogs will take down a person if you're not careful. So I'm always careful when I'm out in the garden. So we discussed the main questions, and that is what to plant, what to fertilize, and what to use for pest control. So if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you had a question and I wasn't able to answer you, please send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I do answer my emails. KNC Worm Farm is located in New York. There are local worm farms you can definitely find, but I personally love KNC Worm Farm. We've been friends on Facebook for a long time, and they've got a lot of great information. I have also have a video on my Facebook feed as far as a live video. Sorry, if you're not on Facebook, you won't necessarily be able to see it. But I asked them, I said, well, how do I make my own worm bin? And so they showed me how to do it so that I could share with other people on how to do it. But they've got a lot of great information both on their website and on their Facebook page. So I do refer to them a lot because I'm not a worm connoisseur. So all of these questions can be answered in my comprehensive planting guide. But I wanted to share with you in a video as well because growing a garden shouldn't be scary and it shouldn't be stressful. So I wanted to kind of hopefully assist you in your endeavors in your garden. So there's a comprehensive planting guide. There's also a link to sign up for my email. I send out weekly emails with helpful information, with specials, with planting guides and all kinds of good stuff. So if you have questions, you can always check that out as well. Alrighty, everybody, I am done for the evening. I hope you enjoyed my live chat today. I do try to go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube. I'm no longer doing lives on Facebook because I just rather have it here where everybody can see it because not everybody's on Facebook. Heck, I don't even want to be on Facebook all the time. Alrighty, everybody, I'm Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds signing off, and happy planting.